Okay, so let's see. Let me pull this up and get going here. So, Jill. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Awesome Life Podcast. I'm Karen Stultz, your host, and today I have another awesome guest. What a surprise, right? And I vet my guests. Not everybody that I talk to do I invite to be on the show, but this person, I thought, dang, this is somebody who can really impact people in a such a positive way. And of course, because this is a program for women in transition who are searching, who might not know what resources might be available to them or where they're going. And it's to help you be inspired to find a different route that fills your heart and soul. And then also help you when things start sometimes crashing down around you. And we'll be talking about that today with Overholt, Michael Overholt. He is a thought leadership strategist and a copy consultant specializing in guiding coaches and consultants in the personal development industry. With a background in classics and a PhD focused on ancient forms of self-care and learning, he brings a unique blend of academic knowledge and practical experience to help you thrive in today's dynamic business landscape. And don't we need all the help we can get, Michael? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
So tell me, how did you become a thought leader strategist? That's really quite something.
Well, I think it's my favorite term for someone who helps business owners with ideation, like creating ideas. And for me, I, I was teaching at the University of Iowa last year, and I was let go of my position because there was restructuring going on in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So they weren't able to renew my contract, which was tough for me because I've won awards as a teacher. I thought I'd teach until the end, and so it was a big change for me. I had started out a content writing business while I was teaching because I love writing. I've taught writing at the university and high school levels, and it just kind of made sense to start there. But what I realized, kind of to try to keep this as succinct as possible, I realized that my greatest strength and the most enjoyable part of my interactions with small business owners is helping them with like expanding their ideas of how they think about themselves, how they perceive their businesses, the value that they add to their customers and clients and their audience. And that's where I decided, I'm going to put all of my effort into helping them expand their language and their thoughts on what they do.
Yes, language is so important. I know that is one of the first things that I teach in the Awesome Life Success System is watch your language. Be aware of your language because it's powerful. We know that, right?
Yeah, and I would add to that, like our ability to imagine, and this is kind of tapping into my background in ancient philosophy and also learning, is that our ability to imagine something is governed by our experiences. And to really expand our idea, our imagination, what we have to do is we have to expand our experiences so that our imagination has the tools to put new ideas together. Because every thought is Frankenstein, right? It's some sort of concoction, conglomeration of our experiences. And so bringing in somebody who has different experiences is one way of rethinking the way we see ourselves.
Yeah, and being able to really understand that you bring that out in such a powerful way that if our experiences, my experience is very different than your experience, and somebody living in the jungles of India is very different than my experience, and they can't even imagine what my life is, and I can't even imagine what their life is, but we both may be very happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or we both may be very sad, and we don't, because we do not know experiences. So you take that and put it into a language, a thought pattern. Is
Yeah.
that my understanding?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And can I provide an example of what that might look
Oh,
like?
please do. Yeah.
Sure. Like, so one of the more recent clients I had came to me for a message strategy, and in the message strategy, what we were creating was we were creating like 6 months worth of content for her. And one of the ways I love helping people rethink their businesses is just trying to gather, like, what are your personal values? What are your professional values? And I normally ask for like 5 of each. She gave me like 10 or 15 of each. And so there were so many to work with. But then I had this idea of a triangle, and I took two values that she seemed to talk about in a connected way. One was self-expression and health, and I put those together, and I was thinking, okay, so where do they intersect? Where do they kind of overlap? And I determined that they overlapped on vitality. And so what that created was what I started calling a value triangle. So for that section of our message strategy, we talked about health, we talked about self-expression, but we talked about it under the umbrella of vitality and what that means and how she brings vitality to her clients. And that was something that just kind of I remember her expression being like, oh my gosh, like I've never thought of it that way. And it's so clear. And so just adding that idea of vitality, which comes from the Latin for life, vita, that was something that allowed her to understand more clearly, like what she was talking about with her emphasis on health and her emphasis on self-expression, and how those two things came together in a program that she calls affirmation. And that was a very rewarding kind of realization or eureka moment.
Oh, that is so cool. And you're right. I struggled with my message for years.
Hmm.
And if I had had somebody like you in my world at that point in time, it would have been a whole lot easier.
I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate it. I mean, it's one of those things where it's so much fun to see like the different points of light that a person's life has, and being able to create a constellation of thought that allows us to, see the image, let it guide us. How far can I push this metaphor? Uh, Constellations guide us, when things are the darkest. And, starting up a business, being new to entrepreneurial spaces, it feels like navigating a dark sea, like I see at night sometimes. And we need those values. We need those points of light from our life that really help us locate and circumnavigate the difficulties of business.
That's for sure, because business is a very different area, really. What you're dealing with here is a very different area than your academia.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
uh, and was that a challenge for you when you were laid off? Not for lack of your abilities, but um, the lack of funding at the school. And of course, a lot of people would have chosen to find another school to go to.
Mhm. Yeah, and yes, I mean, the short answer is yes. It was very challenging. Teaching is something that doesn't pay a lot of money, but there's always a check at the beginning of the month, and you can brace for it. You can, if you want to do a little extra work on the side, you can normally find a way to do that. But yes, I mean, it was incredibly challenging in that, I was all of a sudden kind of out on my own and recognizing that if I was going to make this work, it was really up to me. There was no one coming to save me, in this pursuit. But at the same time, I was really energized by the fact that I had to do it. So they let me know in June. Normally they let you know in March or April so that you can go to another school to try to find a new job. And being let go in June was too late. Like all of the teaching positions around the country are by that time filled. Okay. And if they have to fill one late like that, they normally just pull from somebody within their system. So I didn't have much of a choice. I mean, I felt like a bird being pushed out of the nest, quite frankly, and trying to learn how to fly, and just realizing that I've got to flap as hard as I can and learn as quickly as possible before I hit the ground.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there because you have a family as well that you had to provide for a little bit as well.
Exactly
So,
right. Yeah. Yep,
yeah,
5 kids. So
wow, wow. So you said that you start off with a client, um, preferably coaching or consulting clients, right?
those are the ones I'm just most familiar with. Yep.
Yeah, but you're open to all kinds of people, I expect, because we all have a message that we want to share with the world. It's just a
Exactly. Yep.
question of how do we get it out there? What are the best words to use and to integrate? And you said that you had mentioned that you find out about some of their strengths, their values, and what they desire. What other things do you need to draw out so that you can help them create a great message?
Yeah. So one of the things I love to do is I like to look at the kind of the arc of their life. And I'm not trying to be super dramatic here, but we are the heroes in our own stories. We all are. We wake up being like, I'm going to win the day, and I've got a mission to fulfill. And that's very, very personal to us. And so I like to know where people are in that story arc, and to try to help them tell that story. And so sometimes it really is finding out more about them from childhood, high school, college, 20s, 30s, wherever they may be in life, and recognizing like where they are in their own hero's journey. One of my most rewarding experiences that I had in the past year was I was helping a coach who had gone through a really tumultuous couple of years. She had gone through a divorce. She had all but withdrawn from coaching and social media, but she had this reputation as a powerful speaker, and as a really dynamic coach, and she was still wanting to help people and generate, but she was just lost on her messaging. She's like, how do I re-engage with these people who are wondering, like, where are you? And and what we did, or what I did, is I went to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, and I looked at the different steps that he had laid out, just what he had gathered from mythology, that constitutes the hero's journey. And we mapped out her life and where she is now and where she wanted to be in 6 months from now, based on that hero's journey. That was really, really powerful, because each segment of the message strategy was a new chapter or a new step in the hero's journey. And it gave her the language that allowed her to say, this is what's happened, this is where I am, this is where I'm going. You are welcome to follow if you find that if you can see yourself in my story. And so that was a very rewarding paradigm to kind of layer on top of her story, and gave her some incredibly significant language, very deeply meaningful language for re-engaging with her audience.
And I appreciate the very deep language, meaningful language. And you do need to have that languaging for your audience, but most of all for you, I would think. It has to resonate from your heart.
Yes. Yeah. It's when we when we are writing about our experience in hoping to help others, we're positioning ourselves as guides for other people.
Mhm.
Like I said, we're all the hero of our own story. We can't be the hero of somebody else's story, but we can talk about our story in such a way that says, I did this, come and follow me.
So I successfully accomplished this, and I will show you how
Exactly.
you can
Yeah.
do it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
I, I love that. And so and I in my world, a lot of people are talking about the heroine's journey.
Right. Hmm.
And I've never read the hero's journey or the heroine's journey because I wasn't into personal development a whole heck of a lot, so I did not read it. Um, have you read the heroine's journey?
No, so I saw the book. My friend Tyler has it. It's called the Heroine with 10,001 Faces, I believe,
Oh,
which is to build on Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces. So
oh,
yeah,
got it. Got it. Well, thank you for that clarification too, because I am learning all the time, but I don't necessarily uh, go and read the stuff out of choice. So when it comes up, I love to learn more about it. And so that was a cool little insight that you just gave.
yeah. I wouldn't have. I will say that when I just to clarify, when I talk about a hero, I am talking about it in a very generic way, a very amorphous or like a genderless way for sure. Um, and the language that we used for my client regarding her own hero's journey was something that was very much adapted to her and her story as a divorcee, coach, speaker, author, wanting to re-engage with her audience. Nothing I do for my clients is ever canned or just regurgitated from some other experience or from some other client's work.
And that is exactly what makes you so unique and helps create a message that is unique is the fact that you are able to um, appreciate that thought leadership strategies that you create. It's wonderful. So with that, now you are not working at the university anymore. You're working as a coach, consultant, copy, thought, thought leadership.
That's correct. Yep. 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 Which I will say, it feels very similar to what I did with people in helping my students write better. Feels very like a very similar place to what I'm helping people with today,
Mhm.
for sure.
And I have to share with our audience that we were supposed to meet at one point, but because of a number of snafus along the way
Yes, I
and
remember.
timing and whatnot, our planned meeting, like I say, I always vet all of my guests,
Yeah.
and we were having our little coffee, get to know you, when all of a sudden all these people started showing up for a class that he was giving, he thought in an hour. And
Yes.
so you give group classes for people. What sort of things do you do in your classes? The same?
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to say thank you too for the grace that you gave to me. I really didn't realize that changing time zones would automatically update everything on LinkedIn, and that was that was the big snafu. But the things that I have focused on, there are a number of them. One of them is I've helped people write more streamlined landing pages for their websites. Most websites have 10 times too many words. They're just clunky and bulky, and people don't read websites anymore, especially landing pages. They skim them. And so they've got to be clean. The copy's got to be very direct, and they've got to know what they're getting within like the first 15 seconds. So I've done one on helping clean up landing pages. Another one that I've done is, one that I'm about ready to do is getting comfortable with video posts. And again, this is really much connected to thought leadership because we often overthink video, and because there's that added element of visual that that's there, and so we get a little distracted when we really don't need to. And it's really just about extending yourself compassion, um, accepting the way that you sound and in the sound of your own voice and becoming comfortable with that. So that's what another one that I've done. I've also the one that people started interrupting our virtual coffee with. That one was focused on helping people write more efficiently. Um, I think what often trips people up is the process of posting on social media, or the process of writing in general, can be very laborious and time consuming, but there are ways that it can be less so. And actually, I would say there are ways that allow you to build more time into your schedule if you know how to practice it correctly. And so what I was offering people was a way to write more efficiently, but also to build more time in for their businesses, less time for writing into their work week.
Oh, I love that. That is really fantastic because that is what people oftentimes tell me. I just don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't.
Yeah.
But guess what? We all have the same amount of time, guys. So
Yep.
it's a question of what do you want to really do
Mhm.
to spend that time on? And finding extra time by being able to streamline the writing is fantastic.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And also not putting yourself in the position of putting up the first thing that you write. And so it sounds a little counterintuitive, but how do you do multiple drafts of one thing and yet save time on writing? So that's what my workshop was about.
Okay, all right. Now you've got my curiosity going, Michael.
Yeah.
Can you give us some hints how you can do that?
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, it's called deep work. But what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to, instead of waking up every day and writing the post for that day, you want to schedule a block of time once a week to do all of your writing. Because what happens is that in deep work, your work efficiency speeds up. And so the amount of time that it takes me to write 5 posts on a Friday afternoon, which is what I'm going to be doing after we're done with our call here, is much less time than if I were to wake up every day, take on my writing for that day, try to polish it up, and still post it in the same day. So what I teach people to do is to set aside 2 hours of time just to draft your stuff. Let it sit for the next week, and when it's time to post it, pull it up, brush it, like lightly polish it, and then go ahead and post it. And you'll find that it is so much less stressful. You spend so much less time in that initial creating stage, which is what takes the most time. It's that first draft that takes all the time. Um, and it gets people away from thinking, well, I'll just throw it into Chat GPT and throw it up. Look, if you're using Chat GPT and not editing it well or not prompt engineering it well, everybody knows it. It sees it. It reads bland as hell. And as my business coach, Kim Trathan, says, if it's bland as hell, it doesn't sell. So I'm a big proponent of batch producing content, for efficiency's sake and for clarity's sake. Your work is always going to be better if you have a chance to look over it a second time before you post it.
For sure, for sure. And that sometimes for me has been, dang, this really is bad. I need to start from scratch. And that's not what you're talking about. So I'm wondering, in your classes, in your time saving classes, do they share things with you so that you can say, yeah, you're right on there, you got it, or you could tweak this sentence, or you could leave that out, or
Yeah. Yeah. So so in the workshop that I was referencing regarding writing more efficiently, What I did instead was I was showing them I was also showing them a framework that I use called the EPIC framework for writing, and the EPICL stands for like a different part of the post. So I showed them how to create notes and then take those notes and create a post from it. And I was actually typing up one in real time. It was me. I felt very vulnerable. I don't like to type in front of people, much less think in front of people, but it was worth it. And they were able to see, this is how it kind of goes together. And then what we talked about then, we talked about like how do we go through the editing process and how do we make it better at that point. And so that's how I approached it in that one. Um, it wasn't so much a bring some of your work and let's workshop it in that regard, but I have done that plenty with people. In this particular workshop, I just didn't have time because there were about 15 to 20 people there, and we didn't have time to workshop a bunch of writing.
So, how do most people work with you, in groups or one-on-one or some other way, or
One
how do
on
you
one. Yeah,
one-on-one?
most people work with me one on one. And that, I mean, writing is such an intimate process that I don't see any other way to really address people's needs with other than one on one. I mean, I can do some group stuff, if it's maybe about 4 or 5 people. But so far, what I've focused on is the one-on-one clients, um, because normally what we're doing is we're working with a very, very specific message. Again, my message strategy is very tailored to who they are, where they've been, where they're going, their life, and how to talk about their business. And so it requires that intimate conversation about themselves, which is also why with my clients I offer with my message strategy I do offer like 4 one-on-one copy consulting sessions to go along with the message strategy. So they get not only do they get the strategy itself, but then they get like this continued support that they can schedule as they need to over the next 6 months. I don't really care when they schedule it. They get 4 of them, and they're an hour long, and that allows me to help them along their way.
Oh, that is terrific. Really terrific. So how can people find you, Michael?
Yeah, the easiest way is to find me on LinkedIn. I'm under Michael Scott Overholt PhD. But I also can be reached by email or my company's website, which is anabasisllc.com. Most people come to me through LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active.
And of course, that's where we met, was on
It
LinkedIn.
is. Yep. Yep.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
great.
it's a great platform. I've been on Facebook, Instagram. Those are not generally the places where my clients are, and so um, LinkedIn is it.
And I think honestly, when we focus on one platform, that is where great strides happen very quickly, as
Yeah.
opposed to trying to do all of the different platforms and
Right.
hoping. It's like throwing spaghetti against a wall. So, you know.
Yes, you're not the only person I've heard use that expression. There's one exception that I do make with clients because I've had a couple of clients come to me, and these are clients who have not just online customers, but they also have face-to-face customers.
All right.
And for those situations, I do advise and provide strategies for like a Facebook group, not a Facebook page, not a Facebook page. Those are worthless, but a Facebook group, because that allows you to have a very localized audience. And this is for people who want to be able to see, like, be in the same physical location as another person. And so there are exceptions to that strategy rule, but it's not spreading yourself too thin to focus on LinkedIn, but then also to maybe have like a very localized presence with a Facebook community.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people are not on LinkedIn, but they really would like to have your help along the way. So they would email you at that point. Do you have any fun things? Where are you going with your business in the next All right, I'm going to use your thing. In the next 6 months, where are you going in your business, Michael?
Very well, very, very good, Karen. Very good. Yeah, I mean, so the fun part about where I'm at right now is I'm finally starting to see like how my past experience is really feeding what I do for clients. So the part that I'm incredibly excited about is providing more of that coaching experience for people who are wanting to write their own content or have maybe an assistant writing their own content, because I have had customers like that, but are not wanting to contract out with a media agency to write all of their stuff for them. So providing that writing support feels very much like having office hours that I had with my students. Um, and that's just fun. I loved the classroom. I loved that exchange of thought between students, and being able to do this at an entrepreneurial level with people who are committed to their message, who see the value of their message, and really believe in the value that they offer to people, just makes it even more fulfilling for me. It's not, that's probably the major difference, for where I'm at right now is it's not some assignment that I've given to a student. Like this is their bread and butter. They're committed to it. They believe in it. And getting them to write about it is easy peasy, but we just have to like work on the nuts and bolts of how it really goes together. And that's a lot of fun. It's like working with the best students in the class over and over and over again.
Oh, that does sound like fun. And of course, for me, fun is number one. So, that
Yes.
really is.
Yes, I guess that you're a number 7 on the Enneagram, but that's
And that's right. I haven't looked at that yet.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
So, I will put your information for LinkedIn and how to access you and be able to tie in their message, get their message really clear. And once you get your message really clear, you know, clarity is all around you all of a sudden. And it's like, yeah, that works. This one doesn't. I'm going to go with what does work. And you start skyrocketing your world, whatever that might be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's at some point, and this is where you want to get, at some point the copy starts to write itself, because the clarity of your message has come in. And I'm a big proponent of clarity leads to confidence, which leads to decisive action. And that's no less true of writing. The clarity of your message gives you more confidence to then quickly decide on what is the best route for telling your story. And that's an exciting place to be.
It is that. It also saves you a lot of time.
Totally, totally saves you a lot of time.
So, everyone, do you have anything else that you'd like to share before we go? Because I could sit here and I could talk to you and I could pick your brain, but I don't pay my guests, so I'm not going to pick his brain, totally. But listen to Michael. He really he's such a fun person, and you can hear it in the podcast, but come over to YouTube and see him as well, because it really is. He's a fun person. That's all there is to it. I love it. I just
I,
love it.
I appreciate it. My kids I know would balk at the word fun. Um, I think I'm fun. And I certainly have fun with my clients, that's for sure.
Well, truth, perception is truth. Truth
Yeah,
is perception. Change your truth. Change your perception.
yeah,
That's all
exactly.
there is to it.
Yes.
So, everyone, thank you so much for joining us again on the Awesome Life podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment. We always love comments. We respond to all of them and really appreciate you listening in and being inspired by these amazing guests in the Awesome Life podcast. So until next time, be awesome. Thank you. Thank you so
Yay.
much.
Yay.
I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed having you. It was great.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thank you so much. You gave me so much space to share, and I really appreciate that, Karen. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's important to be able to share our message. And like I say, I honestly, it was just yesterday, I tiled in my message and I said, this is it. This is what I do.
Yeah.
You know, instead of saying, yeah, that and a whole lot more.
Nice. Oh, that's such a good feeling.
Oh, and just like you're saying, yeah, when you get that clarity, everything starts coming together and it just feels amazing. Absolutely amazing. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I am not certain when this will be coming out. It will be in August.
Okay, wonderful.
But I will let you know. I'll send you a little graphic with the date and time that will be put up. And if you share it with your peeps, that would be terrific. And
Oh, gladly share.
love to have you like and subscribe to
Yes.
Awesome Life Podcast.
You know, I thought I had,
and you may have.
If I didn't, I'm gonna go back and double check, but I'll make a note.
You may have. I'm still learning all of these ins and outs because, hey, I want to enjoy whatever it is. I want my guests to enjoy whatever it is. And if I'm stressed out because I'm not doing it right,
then it's not fun.
no, it's not fun.
You know, one thing I forgot to say is I have a shirt on that says America needs female leaders. I wore it for you specifically.
I saw the America. I couldn't see the rest of it.
Yeah, so it's like,
I love it. America needs female leaders. You are awesome. That is fantastic.
Oh, it's the awesome life.
That's what we aim for, you know?
Yeah.
It really is. It's we make it whatever we want it to be. And sometimes we think it's pretty hard, but having somebody like you in their corner, helping them along to recognize, to see, and let them know that vitality is the thing to have if you are into health and yoga and all of that. It is the vitality. That is the bottom line. That is the message. We want to have more energy. We want to have more freedom and joy. So, and I know that you are going to be writing here. So I will let you go do your batch writing.
Yes, that's right.
Thanks again, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Karen. It's lovely talking with you.
Wonderful talking to you, and I look forward to the next time.
Yay.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.